We are here today to celebrate the life of Kathy Adams, aka the Goddess of Fun. Kathy was so loved that her friends would do anything for her. While Kathy is no longer physically with us, her wit, her laughter, and love for her fellow human will remain with us spiritually for the rest of our lives. Kathy certainly had her share of adventures. When growing up, she smoked pot with Janis Joplin and Alice Cooper and wore her nightgown while on stage at the Fillmore West. Kathy first came to Trinity County in 1975 and lived in Weaverville and Junction City. Initially, she opened a deli and cheese shop, then worked as a waitress at various restaurants, including the Fishtail with Sue Rhodes and the Gables with Colleen Ryberg. She somehow also found the time to help raise two lovely young ladies. Kathy was blessed with a wonderful son, Christian, and equally wonderful husband, Paul Grizzly Adams. Word on the street has it that Christian was named after the heart transplant Dr. Christian Bernard because Kathy admired the work he was doing. Mountain Mama's opened around 1988 or 89 and was renowned for its great food and Kathy's legendary entertaining of the customers. Karen Donahue was a waitress for Kathy for 5 years there. Kathy's food was so good that when her oven exploded, blowing out every window in the restaurant, some of the diners continued to eat without batting an eye. Kathy then worked at Tops Market and Deli with Katie Hines until she retired. Of course, Kathy loved to travel and had a great time in Scotland with Sue Rhodes. As you all know, Kathy never relinquished the hippie mentality and that special kind of laugh you could hear a block away. It was quite the experience hanging out with Kathy, as she couldn't go down the block without people swarming all around her. She was an instigator who loved to make people laugh. Kathy was hippie royalty, and one of her outfits was displayed at the Jackson Museum in Weaverville to prove it. As you can imagine, she had a zest for life and was always involved in something. She taught people how to have fun without spending money. She liked to party at the park by the river and had strict criteria for whom she would associate with, essentially anybody and everybody if they had a joint, laugh out loud. Knowing Kathy as you do, should not be surprised that when she went to a Beatles concert as a youngster, she refused to clap or raise her arms to cheer on Paul because she was terrified that he would see her sweat. Another memory is that 30 to 40 of Kathy's friends went to see the movie yesterday with her at the local theater. Of course, a big roar came up when Kathy's picture came up at the end of the movie during the credits, and even more fun was had with everyone singing throughout the movie to all the Beatles songs. There was always an excuse for a great party when Kathy was around. In addition to all the wonderful things about Kathy mentioned thus far, Kathy was a community fixture and a big part of the North Fork Grange. She was instrumental in getting the Grange going again, along with her husband Paul and good friends, Roger and Mary and Will and Ginger. Kathy volunteered at the Joss House, a Chinese temple, elementary schools, and food commodities. She was involved with People First, which helped adults with special needs. Of course, everyone is familiar with the awesome Father's Day pancake breakfasts Kathy ran as a fundraiser for the Grange. Not only did she make great biscuits and gravy, she supervised the kitchen, which produced a huge spread for the hungry masses. In addition, Kathy made her world-famous lasagna for the Grange Scholarship Dinner. For years, Kathy successfully raised money for the Grange scholarships, and new scholarships have been created in her and her husband Paul's name. Kathy was always looking for fun. One day she was a barbecue at which a couple were also renewing their vows. One of the guests decided to ingest some mushrooms prior to attending and wound up laughing frequently during the ceremony. At the end, Kathy was at the back waiting for her because she wanted to meet someone who was laughing and having such a great time. They became friends for life. Of course, it was Kathy who befriended the inhabitants of the local Buddhist temple and subsequently was gifted a fruitcake as a sign of their appreciation. Yes, it's the same fruitcake that reappears every New Year's Eve. There is no question that Kathy Adams made this world better for everyone she encountered. We will miss her dearly, but our memories of her will comfort us in our remaining days. We should all strive to live with the zest, love, and passion that were Kathy's trademark. She was a very special person. She was the best.
Okay, what do we do?
You share like that. Hey, put your arms down. Hey, put your hands down.
Put your hands down. No, put your hands down.
Thank you for coming. We thought we would have you fill your tummies first. We wouldn't have to starve and wait for things to get hotter. Christian asked that, I asked him, what do you want me to say? What do you want me to do? And he said, if my mom would have liked it, do it. I've had 40 years with this woman, and we were talking yesterday, it's like, how do you do, it all blends together. Every day had a story, every day was goofy. I have books back there, you can ask me about any of the pictures. This woman was a nut. Her sisters Lynn and Robin couldn't be here, but growing up with Kathy was crazy and fun, and we wanted you to enjoy your dishes like she would have. My thing was that I said that Kathy, she lived a life in which every snack or a meal was a feast, like we just had. Every visit was a celebration. You know, you could just show up and then she would light up, you know, all of you. And every trip was an adventure. Her life was one big trip. And I'm sure all of you have great stories too. I want you to enjoy her photos, that Beatles photo. She was in a magazine article, in a Beatles 40th anniversary magazine. She was coming in from her smoke break. And she opened this magazine, and in the first page, she goes, I always look for my... And there was this photograph of her and her girlfriend. She said her dad bought them headbands, and she didn't raise her arms because she didn't want Paul to see her sweat, you know. She said that their dad sat out in the parking lot at the Cow Palace and listened to the girls scream. But she was just a goofball. My family met Kathy before I met her. And I met her when I moved to Junction City. Pamela was at the store and invited me to play on their softball team. And I said, I don't want to make any friends. And Kathy had come out of the store in front of us, and my mom said, oh, you ought to meet her. She's really funny. And I'm like, I don't want to make any friends. And then we go down to Trinity Oaks, which is where Kathy was going with the paper. And they were having their softball meeting, so I joined the team. And we practiced out here at the old Junction City School for a couple of months, I guess. And it was like, but I would just get my car and leave, or my truck. And we won our first game. So I show up with my little prizes, and I said, don't any of you people smoke pot? And she laughed that laugh. Anyway, she laughed that laugh and she goes, "We were waiting for you to leave because we didn't know who you were." That's how we bonded. And she helped me raise my daughter. My daughter couldn't be here. She's on taking 8th graders to Washington, D.C. on a trip. She's really bummed. But Megan was raised here, and they used to walk from Kathy's place to school. Mikey Bradford, she took care of everybody's kids. So the books back here have pictures of kids that are probably in their 40s and 50s. But everybody in those books loved her and she loved them. If you see a photo in there that you want, come see me. When I go to heaven to join everybody, my daughter's going to have boxes of photos of her. She's not going to know who the hell you are. So, please help yourself. And we also have plenty left over. And that can see us for some of Kathy's lasagna. How many have you ever driven in a car with Kathy? I want to tell you a real quick little story. There was no stomp because there was a fire, so we were going to the coast, we were going to Susan. We didn't get past Powerhouse Road, which is free, because when Kathy was 17, she went through a windshield. So she's like freaked out. I'm sorry. Anyway, we hadn't gotten down Dutch Creek Road, Powerhouse Road, and she's freaking because we're on 299 and cars are coming. I just pulled over and I looked at her and I said, "Kathy, let me drive." No. I was driving. I pulled over really slow. And I said, "Kathy, Megan, my daughter, she's going to have twins. And I'm going to be a grandma. And I want to meet them. I am not dying today. So you're not dying today, so calm your happy ass down." Okay. But we just, every adventure was a goofball adventure. Are you getting ready? I'll have you cue here in just a second. Anyway, we have Groucho glasses. She loved those. Please put them on, take lots of pictures. We need to get a group photo. We have kazoos, because I want you guys to play kazoos all night. I got kazoo songs. And Teresa kidnapped her. Teresa can't be here. We have family issues today, but we kidnapped Teresa's with noses and glasses. We burned we burned a paper bag and we cut out letters out of magazines and we showed up with squirt guns and a bunch of us women and we kidnapped Teresa and her husband had her bags packed and we went to the coast and we would get there and that was kind of fun. We'd go to Sue's and hang out or we'd go to a hotel and we just had so many adventures with her, but she loved those noses and glasses and I just want you to go out and share the love that she showed you to honor her. That's kind of where we're at. We have a lot of stories. My daughter, she couldn't be here, and I left the picture at home. But anyway, I did not see this photo until my daughter was 18 and graduating from high school. But Kathy apparently, when Megan was about 4, made a mini-me photograph of herself. And she had my daughter said, "Please tell Mom, I knew something was wrong. I knew I shouldn't be doing this, but it was so funny." She's got a smirk on her face because Kathy put her hair in a bun, put a little eyeshadow on her lipstick. She's holding a glass of wine and a cigarette. And she's got this smirk like, "I just know this is wrong." And Kathy took a picture. I did not see it for 16 years or something. And she plastered it all over Megan's school on graduation day. and all over my house on the back of the bathroom door. But I said, and then we took that picture to the stone and made a little sign that said, "Have you seen the child?" People, "Oh my God, you have a child?" When I saw this picture, she goes, Kathy said, "The cigarette isn't lit." Look, I didn't made it right. But that was one of her goofy things. She just did so many fun things. I'd say just the kazoos. Do you guys all have your kazoos? You're blowing the little stuff. One more quick story with the kazooie. You're being noisy. Look at you. and they put her in the hospital. She was just getting ready to leave Idaho. So, what could I do? I wrote her a song. And when she got out of the ICU, she called Top Supermarket, and she made me sing it to the ICU people.
Oh, there you go.
But I had to sing it 4 times because, you know, if you're working in the ICU, you're working on somebody. So somebody was always coming to the phone. But it went like, she'd gone on a vacation. Okay, so it goes like this. You went on a vacation, it was a great sensation, until you turned real blue. And they put you up with roses in your wussy and your nose, and you're in the ICU. Anyway, that's what we did. Well, I'm blanking out right now. I can sing the rest of it later, but it was basically my way of sending my love to my friend, because that's what I do. She brought up Goofy and me, if you can believe that. And there's a picture back there. I dropped a gallon of sweet and sour sauce at the store in the kitchen and went up the wall all over the floor. You'll see the photos. She's like, why don't you lay in it and I'll hang over you with a knife and we'll take a picture. Okay. So there's a picture of me laying in a pool of sweet and sour. She's over me with a knife. That's the way her mind worked. We were in the store one day and I was doing something, and then here comes Jerry Brown, former governor. He had just gotten married. They were going to honeymoon here in Trinity County. And so he walks up to the case and he goes, I want a corn dog. And I'm sure his wife's eating healthy. And she goes, you don't want a corn dog. And he goes, yeah, I want a corn dog. And I go, with chicken corn dogs. So he gets 2 corn dogs. And, you know, I said, thank you. I run in the back and I go, Kathy, she's back for Kathy. Kathy, I just sold Jerry Brown, the former governor, 2 corn dogs. And she's like, no, come out here. So she goes out there, she goes, ooh, get a camera. Because if we didn't have a camera on us, we stole one off the shelf. The little quickie ones. So she goes out there and we get our picture taken with him. And she slips her arm around him and she goes, is this how Linda used to hold you? She was not afraid to ask the questions or say the things. She was very thrifty. You all know she didn't like to spend too much money. So she made the arrangements one time for us to go to San Francisco. She got the rooms. Oh no. I drove the car. When we got there and they gated our car into the place, I kind of realized we were in the Tenderloin. They gave us the best room upstairs, and we were next door to the food place, you know, the food kitchen. And we had a ball. But she was so fearing for my life when she realized where we were. I went to eat Chinese food across the street. She wouldn't go because she didn't do fish. She didn't want to smell like fish. And she was high alert. So she stood in the window and watched for 45. I had a ball in there. I was the only white girl in there. There was like a couple of Chinese guys. And we were talking, and then I come out and I look, and she's standing still in the window. Making sure I don't, die or something. But she was the funniest person. She always had something funny to say. Christian gave me her journals. He says, did you know my mom wrote journals? And I said, no. And he said, well, and he hasn't read them yet, but I read them, and I didn't learn very much that I didn't already know about my friend. But one thing she did write, I wanted to read to everybody. And it says, and this, I think she wrote this in 1982. She must have been high or drunk. Now listen, and my name used to be Kathy Smith, so even though I'm gone, I'm not really gone. I'll always be with you. When you have all the blankets, Paul, I'll still steal them away. When you look at the mountains covered with snow, and when you look at the stars in a full moon, I'll be there with you. When you have a messy room, I'll still be bitching, Christian. I'll be with you. When you plant a new rose, Larry's quite the gardener, go tubing or bring out, underline 3 times, the box. I'll be with you. And here's for Pamela. When you finally, underline, get a good joke, Pamela, I'll be with you. She would laugh about a half hour later because she'd finally get the joke. And every time you make a joke, Kathy Smith, that's me, I'll be with you. When Robin, that's her sister, meets Mr. Wonderful and gets married, I'll be there. But this is what I thought was really cool. When any of you have a great event in your life or a lousy day, I'll be there. I've led the most incredible, happy life. I'm thankful for the most wonderful family and friends one could want. I love you all. Kat. I know you all have things to say, but do you want to hear Kathy laugh? Yeah. Chad, you're on. Look at the back screen. Oh. We'll get it louder. We'll play it over there. Are you going to play a song? Apparently, I wasn't there, but apparently Christian took his mom on a hot air balloon ride. And the 8th graders from Junction City were on their 8th grade trip on the Rogue River. And they swore they were hearing Kathy Adams. And it was! They're riding on the Rogue River on jet boats, doing the thing, but they hear, and apparently he had taken her on a balloon ride over the Rogue River on the same day, unbeknownst to the kids. They weren't dreaming. Do you want to play it again? Did you, or were you going to play your old thing? I ain't calling. I think we ought to have Kathy Adams laughing. Many crazy things. There's some things I don't want to say because there's too many kids here. There's some very funny stories. There was a lady riding a man symbol that we stole on a Friday night and ran around the county. Was it Mike Whittinger? Yeah. Was the head of the Trinity Journal?
Yes, Mike Whittinger.
Bridget just left, but Bridget had brought it from Bali, and it was a very male symbol with a lady writing on it. But anyway, there's some pictures. But anyway, her idea was to take photographs of that and take it and put it on all the landmarks in Trinity. And then sneak it back to his office before he got to work on Monday. So we had some helpers with that. And so we were everywhere in front of the Grange. We put her on the monitor over there on Oregon Mountain. We went to Lewiston, put it on the Lewiston Bridge. And I happened to cross a real cool gang guy with NorCal on his hands. I was like, excuse me, would you hold this? And then every morning she would send him an email like, where's Mike been? With a goofy picture of this crazy thing. She just had the funnest ideas and she brought out the fun in everybody. So Howard, did you want to say something today, or you just brought your goodies? Howard is here. He's been interviewing all of our goofy friends. This is my new good friend, Howard.
He's got nose.
Tell us who you are.
I only met Kathy once, but it was so great an occasion that I came all the way from Brooklyn to memorialize. Kathy was an amazing friend to all of you, as I've learned. But just as importantly, whether you realize it or not, you were just as an amazing friends to her. And all of you together created just the most amazing vibe that I've come to learn. I want to give a shout out to Kathy Hines, Sue Rhodes, Pamela Dishman, Cassie, Karen Donahue, and Colleen for filling me in and giving me all these great stories, some of which I could actually publish. Some of which names were changed to protect the innocent. So I hope that the handout I wrote for you brings you a little comfort and a lot of laughter. God bless you all. You guys have an amazing vibe. I love you all. Keep up the great vibe.
Somebody snag that? I got it. Okay. Who wants to tell a story? Come on. There. Okay. You have something to say? You want us to hand
Do you want to use the microphone right there?
Come up. I don't think I need it. Okay.
Any quiet friends?
She has no quiet friends.
So, I wrote a little story about the girl with gusto. And I looked up gusto in the dictionary, and there was Kathy's picture. Along with all these adjectives that I have in here about her. So let me just put my glasses.
Real glasses? I got some noses and glasses.
I got it. Kathy's beautiful spirit shines a light so bright that her presence is felt here all the time.
Yeah.
She was a girl with gusto for everything in her life. Her deep love of Paul and her family was her greatest passion. She was so delighted to be a grandmother. She loved her community with a fervor of enthusiasm that was unsurpassed. The Grange Hall was like her baby. She worked hard and countless hours because she completely appreciated and adored all the efforts of all the other people who put hours in here too. She would be so proud to see how much the Grange has grown and improved. Kathy helped raise tons of money for the Grange Hall. Her vigorous efforts all paid off in spades. She had an abundance of gracious hospitality, and she always invited Ron and I to stay at her house whenever we came to a dance. She showed so much enjoyment at every single event. I recall sharing a table with her at the tribal stomp one year. She was relishing every single bite, loudly. She with such zest and gusto that I have never witnessed before, and I will never believe it again. She was such a delight to be sitting in the Trinity Theater with Kathy and her big group of friends to watch the premiere of the Beatles movie yesterday. We all screamed out and cheered when we saw our cute little 16-year-old girlfriend on the screen, and she was actually at the Beatles concert screaming her head out. She got her 15 minutes of fame that day, but Kathy was already famous and adored by us Trinity County folks. She was fun, she was entertaining, she loved everybody, she loved live music, she especially loved the musicians.
Yeah. We were Jim French's groupies.
She has never denied that she didn't love. I know she goes way back with a lot of you here. But you know one thing about Kathy? She made every single new person she met feel like they were part of her family. and I miss her so much, and I know all you do too.
Yeah, thank you.
I want to thank you all for being here. She's such a special friend.
No crying.
Kathy was right. I really have a hard time to get jokes, you know. Somebody tells it and it goes, yo! But I have a favorite joke that I want to share with you. It's about two blondes, and I love blonde jokes.
Devil's finally got this one.
These blondes, have two blondes, and one is on each side of the river. And one of the blonde yells to the other, "How do you get across the river?" And the other blonde says, "You are across the river."
My name is Mary, and I've known, actually, I moved into Trinity County. I'm from Weaverville, don't hold that against me, okay? I moved into Trinity County in 1987, and I started working on the road crew for the Forest Service. And halfway through the season, I got put with Kathy's husband, Paul. And for 12 seasons, him and I were partners. Well, then I took on a side job working the weekends at Al's Arco. And I think Kathy just wanted to check out the new bitch that was working with her husband. Yeah. So all of a sudden she comes up to the gas station, you know, she says, "Oh, so you're pumping Ethel, are you?" whatever it takes. So that was in 1987. And then we got laid off, and I went down to San Diego, and I went to a friend's, and we had bunco. And I came back the following season, and I was like, "Oh, man, we had bunco, and it was righteous, it was fun. I won most buncos, most wins, and I had the floater." And they're like, "But you can't win." That was like, you know, first time luck. So I was like, "I don't care, I had a heck of a good time." So Paul's like, "Oh, that would be great. My wife would love to play that game. And you can get Colleen Ryberg and Natalie Dishman and Teresa Smith." And then I went over to Junction City, and I got Melissa and Julie and Penny, and it was just, and then I was in Weaverville, so I took up some Weavervilleans, you know. And so we had a flock of like 12, sometimes we had 16 women. We don't play like bunco like y'all old folks do. We had a great time, we had food out, and we had, you know, treats. Right? And so, stories, oh my God. I moved away for a year, and she sent me a video, tape. And I was listening to it, and I was like, oh, like I said, there's some stories you don't want to repeat. But it was too funny, because I'd taken trips with her. So then, a couple other little things. She ended up getting Mountain Mama's Cafe down in Big Flat. Well, she asked me to do a telegram. Okay, so I have a lot of grams. Not like grams in Trinity County, but telegrams, right? So she asked me to do one of my Heidi, my hussy, at the bar, in the restaurant. With shells all over the floor, right? So I'm like, and this man, he's like putting my dress under his lap and everything else. They're just like roaring. Well, I thought I was the top show, but no. Christian was the top of the show. So what does he do? He starts stripping. He goes all the way down to his Speedos. These ladies were first? Oh my God. These ladies were putting food stamps in his britches. It was in his EBT card. They were $5, $10 food stamps. So then we ended up starting the restaurant across the street from the Junction City store. And it was grand opening. So she asked for a character. So I took out Felicity on my rollerblades. Well, apparently Junction City was having the rock slide. So everybody had to stop right there in front of the restaurant. And I'm on my rollerblades. So I'm up there riding up and down, greeting everybody. Come check out the restaurant, why are you waiting? And then when traffic went through, Highway Patrol let me ride my rollerblades all the way down and back up. But that was, I never got to do a stripper cup. Although she did invite me to Kathy Hines' divorce party. Oh, so guess who I brought? Dong Juan. My 3-foot schlong. Oh, sorry. It's the kids. Yeah, Kathy's been a trip, and I've been very blessed to have known her as well. And she makes me laugh to this day. Absolutely.
This is kind of a, oops, sit down.
Well, I'm going to follow that story with Bunko because I was 11. There's a reason I wear outfits now all the time. Yeah, Mary and Kathy. Yep. So I learned a lot of things at age 11 from my friends at Bunko, and really got to know Kathy this last year, the last couple of years of her life, because I lived in Junction City and she needed a little extra help. So I got to go in there and help her, like once a week, do little things. And she loved everyone. She would show me pictures, she would show me memories, she would show me all these things that she loved so much all the time. I think I spent more time hanging out, talking with Kathy and reminiscing about life that I knew it was coming close just by how sentimental she was getting. And so I just want to let all of you know how important you are to her and how much she loved. And we all have that in common. Yeah. Everyone in this room loves fun. And that's why we love Kathy. Because she brought the fun and love in everybody, you know. So thank you from Kathy for all the smiles and all the laughs, because in the end, that's what she held on to.
Yeehaw!
Is all of that.
Many years ago, my brother came to visit us over the 4th of July, so we went into Weaverville for the celebration, and my brother is a Catholic priest. and he's wearing his garb, which he always does, these robes that he has. And he walked into the Diggins, or one of the bars that Kathy was in. Well, she was convinced he dressed up. This wasn't Halloween. This was the 4th of July. And she just kept at him, and he's like, and she would not stop, and someone finally came up to her and said, you know, that's Chris Lepper's brother. He is really a Catholic priest. Maybe one of the first times Kathy was a little tiny bit embarrassed.
Somebody want to come up and tell a story?
I'm going to go.
You got to get up there, go right.
I had to write it down because I'm not as good at the ad-libbing. My name's Veronica. I first remember meeting Kathy as a child. She was Mountain Mama. And I'd go with my Grandpa Jerry to get the paper, some coffee, and to bullshit with Kathy. She enamored me from the start. She was larger than life. Her and my Aunt Karen were really good friends and very similar in personalities and senses of humor. They could be raunchy. They were wild women, unapologetically. They drank like men, cursed like sailors, and when they got to laughing, they sounded like Muttley from the Murder County. When the laugh is gone. These women tubed hell's hole. I mean, they were hardcore. She was a connoisseur of inappropriate jokes, and I loved the shock on people's faces when she'd tell them. I remember she had t-shirts made graphically expressing her opinions on the taxation of feminine products. Much to the chagrin of my grandpa and the old guard of downriver. Lead party. Her happy birthday song is now incorporated into a family tradition, a long montage of birthday songs to rise the special one from slumber, once annoying as kids, now a fond memory and a way to torture our loved ones who will eventually appreciate those moments. Later in life, my cousin Jessica, my Aunt Karen's middle daughter, was working at Chapala in Eureka, and there was a wild party in the other room. It was women, and they were just really loud and crazy, and then she heard the song, "Whose birthday? You! And she was like, "That's Kathy's song." And she went into the next room, and it was Kathy! It was Kathy! Okay. She was celebrating her friends, as she loved to do. Her impact has been super deep on us, even with our limited exposure to her. She was footloose and fancy-free, and I don't know a person who hasn't described her as a kick in the pants. As I grew, so did my admiration and friendship with this amazing woman. I reveled in the time I got to spend with her, soaked in her stories. She was thoughtful and wise. When I redecorated my room recently, she noticed, and while her and Sadie were cleaning her house, they found a Frida postcard, and she sent it to me, and I immediately framed it, and sits on my dresser now, definitely a prized possession. Knowing she loved me brought me much peace, and I hope she knew that I loved her right back. She was an inspiration to countless women, and that's saying something considering how many of us are in Trinity County. I love to watch her later travels and live vicariously through her as she danced through life. To me, she embodied the saying, "If I'm too much for you, go find less." I'll miss you forever, my friends. Tax OPEX, not co-tax!
Kathy's birthday was March 1st, and you wanted us to sing her birthday song.
Yeah.
So let's do it. All right.
Yeah.
You all know it?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday, happy, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy, happy day. Whose birthday? Your birthday. Whose birthday? You.
We would go somewhere, and I think we were at hometown of or some stupid place in Reading, and this 85-year-old lady was always going. And she and I looked at each other and went. When they were all done, we got up off of our table, sang that song, and everyone was jumping. This was back in the day. Anything else? One real quick thing about that divorce party. I brought a bunch of wigs so everybody could be the other women. We played the wedding video. These were Kathy's ideas too. But we played the wedding video and booed and hissed and Gary. And I think Teresa's daughters made a real nice pinata. I remember. They didn't know it was parts. We put Gary's picture in a toilet seat, and then swinging pinatas, and Peter's candy thing and fell out. It was a wonderful night. But that was the other thing, we could show them and give parties. I mean, they look like this.
Right.
But she was just a fun and loving person.
Kathleen want to say something.
Kathleen, want to say something?
Kathy.
Susie! Yeah. Susie, do you want a microphone?
No, I don't need one, I don't think. Anyway, I was just going to say, as a follow-up to that little bit of information, Christine. All right, all these years, 1988 is when I met. Oh, it's probably a little before 88, but anyway, I was getting married. And my friends Kathy and Sally, they all come over and they said, we're going to throw you a bachelorette party, bitch. And I said, really? I said, gosh, that sounds fun. You know, I'm from Arkansas and it's a lot of Southern gals and they're a little bit too tight. And I'm just not that way. So I said, well, let's do it. So we were at my house and we had about 24 girls pile into this little tiny house. And we were having a great time. It was the first time I ever saw an ice popsicle made with as a phallus symbol. That was just a breach of the iceberg, just a little bit. So all of a sudden they said, we got a stripper, and I heard the whispers, when's the stripper coming? When's the stripper? I'm in my neighborhood, right? I was like, oh no. So here comes a stripper, and this guy's stripping, he's dancing around, he's like, they're pawing at him, and I was like, yeah, he's in my face, I slapped his ass. All of the assets. Anyway, turns out
Welcome to Weaverville.
At the end of this, they're all like laughing, Kathy's like, what is so freaking funny? I said, guys, I can't believe you guys did that. I was so embarrassed. No, that wasn't the embarrassing moment. The embarrassing moment was when it was Kathy's son. To my heart, the first time I met her, she just was my soul sister, just right straight up. And she would always open her arms at her house, her call to me, and when I would want to run away from Reddingtown or anything, we'd all have so much fun. And our pajama parties were probably the most epic. Pajama mama parties were epic because of her wisdom, and her comedic wisdom was just instilled. We all peed our pants. Every time I said, I'm not going to do it this time, it's not going to happen, and it would happen. I love her so much, and I'm so glad to have met a lot of you through her, and may we all carry on her zest for life.
Yes.
Cassie, do you want to say something yet? No, come on. You had something.
No, it's hard
Okay.
for her.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention that at one of my weddings. What? I think we got a double wedding ceremony, and we had 2 strippers at that party. But the first one that showed up, then he got down to this little leopard pole. Oh my God, I wish I had pictures. I was so embarrassed. I know there were 9. I can't watch this. It was a time in Christian's life where he was into stripping for women. But I know his mother instigated a lot. If there was food stamps going in his pants.
Is that child labor?
Girl party. That is child, yes. But, it was. And I want to share something with you that I asked, like I said, I asked Christian, what can I do, what can I say? He said, like you said, if my mom would have liked it, do it, you know. But on her dying moments, do you guys want to know what she said? Yeah. Christian, you can't say it. Can you do this? No? You want me to do it?
I probably can.
Okay, get up and tell us the story. Because this is
You don't have to take your clothes off.
No stripping, but I will. When I heard this, you guys are going to know what a fun woman that was, because her whole thing was, I'm going to die at home. I don't want to die in a hospital. You know, I was like, okay. Christian knows. It's time.
My daughter Cassie and I were there with Mom on the last day. As far as the horrible thing goes, it couldn't have been much better. Mom made the final decisions. She was there right down to the end. My daughter, bless her heart, thought of, Mom loves Beatles, so she started playing some Beatles music.
Good job.
Mom's laying there, relaxing, her breathing's getting a little shallow, she closes her eyes. A few minutes later, Christian, I'm all right here, Mom, I'm right here, Mom. Christian, come here, I gotta tell you something. Yeah, I'm right here, Mom. Come closer. Come closer. I lean over. The treasure is buried in the back. And I didn't make it up.
We all know that. I thought there'd be holes all
I know that, we're all waiting. When I heard that, I thought, oh my God, if you don't tell it, I will. She was
is what I'm curious.
But if you all have metal detectors, or
Hey, a septic needs to be done, so if you find a septic, let us know.
that's the treasure.
My husband has a metal detector.
Any more stories? That was a good one.
I have one more.
One more. We got lots of stories.
Well, okay, so anyway, Paul retired. My mom always went to my gigs with me. I always got a slap in the butt. And so my sister in Washington came down. I asked my sister, make sure you take good pictures, right? And she's like, okay. Well, it's Paul's retirement. This room is totally full, right? So I bring out Lulu Woo. Well, let me describe Lulu Woo. Big boobies, red tassels, real belly, rhinestone G-string, big butt.
There's pictures of her in there.
I'm a Asian gal, right? So I'm taking this off and I'm taking that down, and they're laughing. They're just rolling their eyes laughing. So I get it all down to the breast, and I get Paul's face right in between them. Kathy's sitting right next to him. I'm like, you too. So I love them because equal time. I love Trinity County because they've accepted me. Kathy taught me how to give birth with a butt bag lady. The trick was the wax on my teeth.
Oh, yeah. My husband doesn't know if he's sleeping with a bag lady or Elvis. Yeah, I know. I know. Yeah.
No bad mouthing me about this.
I know. Yeah, Mary's one of our partners.
Well, that was the beginning of my time. I don't remember much of it.
Chris?
Well, I just want to share with you that every time somebody has a birthday at Junction City School, we sing Kathy's birthday song. So I just wanted to say that. And also that she's been so supportive of our kids in our community and having the scholarship dinner and her lasagna, just everything she's done. And you need to know that one of the funniest things about her is every time we would talk about something we were going to do for the kids to help them raise money, it was always about, I had to get those little effers to work.
She went to work at Cox Bar School with, it was like all boys or something. I was with like 6 or 7 boys. But she loved toys like this. And she bought them pencil sharpeners that look like noses. What you want to do with a 6-year-old is teach him how to sharpen a nose. Sharpen his pencil in a nose, you know. And they have it up their nose. Oh, she would just do the goofiest. She loved to play. And she loved to go to thrift stores. And we go to the coast and we hang out at thrift stores. And we went to the coast, and one time we're like going down to the St. Dids at the, and there's this thing in the street, and there's a bunch of college students dressed, they were like clanging things, and they had beads on their neck, and then there was a Budweiser beer truck, and we went, They go, oh, it's our Mardi Gras parade. I'm like, I don't know. But we showed up the next year. Dressed up. And she put herself in the front of the parade. She had this big rainbow hoop dress. And she wore her purple hair. And Teresa wore one of my dresses. She got in the paper, the Eureka Sentinel or something the next day. But we just butted into other people's parties, and it was okay. We went to San Francisco, a bunch of us women. I was telling Howard the story about the noses and the glasses. Well, I think it was Melanie's first out of town. She was going to have a comedy in Katati. It was right across from the graveyard. That was all fun. But 7 of us jumped in Kathy's blazer, and Mary was the tie-down person, and we looked like the Beverly Hillbillies going down the highway and into San Francisco. And when we got there, we realized the closer we got to the city, the more we realized nobody had their luggage on top of their cars. But we stopped at the Iron Skillet. That was their big. Oh, we're not stopped at the Iron Skillet. So we all walked into these. And we got a table, and of course they put us way in the back. And we ate our dinner, or lunch, it was before brunch. And we all walked out, we put our glasses on, and we're standing at the cash register, waiting to pay our little individual tickets. And Kathy yells, "Dad!" Yeah. And there was a trucker sitting there, and he had his real black glasses. And he hugged us, he was sitting there, he really had palms for the truckers, and he went like this. I was hoping you wouldn't notice. So we all got out of line, and we surrounded this man. That's the fun of these. While you're driving, put them in your glove box, send the love out. Everybody needs to know. The flowers and the seeds on the table are for you to take home and plant. Take home pictures and stories of Kathy. We're going to have entertainment for you today and tonight. We're just going to play. Do you have any more stories?
I have one more.
Yes! I have a lot of stories.
You're my girl. You tell her about it. So there was one time, Junction City has a maypole.
Oh, the maple.
The maypole. So Kathy and Teresa Smith brings over Teresa's daughters. This was years back. I'm taking care of my mother, and they wanted to be married, actually. And so I got them all made up in their fairies, and they told them how to make the wings and everything. And so we all got over to the maypole days, and I'm getting them all with their makeup on in the motorhome. And the girls all went out to the motorhome, and my mama grabbed me by the collar like this. She said, "They're not going to make fun of me, are they?" I said, "Oh, no, Mama. They're going to be the cats now. They're going to love you." So here she is in a walker with her beautiful gray wings. And she's walking down the motorhome. And she gets down there, and of all people, Kathy Adams goes, "Whoa! Honorary fairy And then the fairies, my aunt taught me, you don't look at the camera.
Oh yeah, they're all looking away.
They're all looking away, but my mama. She was looking right at the camera.
Fairies don't look at cameras.
No, they don't look at it, but don't tell a great one of that. I think that same time I was arm wrestling, dressed as a fairy, and I whooped Sadie. And Sadie frowned on.
I'll go right now, Mary.
Well, not right now.
I'm right way now.
So here I am dressed as a fairy. And so Sadie, she says to her son Ethan, she's like, "That woman whooped me. She got me on an arm."
Oh, that's right.
And
I was 20.
So Emma said, Ethan says, "Well, how old is she?" And Sadie says, "She must be 50. Ethan's like, "Well, that's young for a fairy."
Another story? You can tell a story.
Real quick. She was a new kid in the town. She didn't feel that welcome. But everybody talks about how she was the Beatles. But I remember her most as being Elvis. Elvis, like nobody was. That year was our first Halloween party. Will Shaw was Cher, and she was Elvis, and I was a hippie as always. But she just made us feel so welcome, so happy all the time. All I could say is Elvis left the building.
I'm Dave. I'm your friendly neighborhood nationwide singing special needs 420 chef. And I love Kathy too. I didn't meet her a whole bunch of times, but every time I did, she made me feel special. She said my songs made her laugh, my poetry made her cry, and that was something. So I'm going to sing y'all one of the songs that.
They pay me not to sing, so you go, girl. Or man, or whatever you'd like to be.
Sure.
There's a microphone.
We're all
somewhere.
closer.
There's a girl behind me.
Yeah, I'm all man.
And we're all closer. I like mother's voice. It doesn't matter.
My heart lies over that mountain, somewhere across the great divide. Over yonder, through that valley, my heart waits on a mountainside. I made love to a Sasquatch, or maybe she made love to me. I made love to a Sasquatch while I was fishing in the Trinity. In the Trinity. Fleas and ticks weren't my thing, and that gal, she had a sting. One wild night, she broke my leg, I broke her heart, the price we paid. Now my heart lies over that mountain, somewhere across the great divide. My heart lies over yonder, through that valley, up on a mountainside. I can still hear her howling, sweet mama Sasquatch, sweet, sweet mama Sasquatch. I broke her heart, she broke my leg, broke my leg, the price we paid. Now my love waits, sweet mama Sasquatch, up on a mountainside.
She liked the poetry too.
She loved the cowboy poetry.
There is a woman that hides in my dreams, a beautiful stranger whom I've never seen. She's lying in wait for darkness to fall. Then when I close my eyes, she'll come to call. No sounds will she make as she draws near. Maybe it's caution, maybe it's fear. I feel her eyes upon me, I know that she's close. Yet she stays in the shadows as though she's a ghost. Oh, beautiful stranger, there's no need to hide. There's nothing to fear if you reach the other side. A hidden dimension, the Dream Master's realm. Aboard my own private ghost ship with me at the helm. For a vessel such as this, there could be but one name. Yet the few who have heard it have deemed me insane. For it travels only to my world where time has no place. Mystical in a paradise where fantasies are made. Late one night, you close your eyes. The clouds begin to swirl. A trumpet blows and you find yourself on a ship bound for my world. Now the Dream Master's realm has sailed no seas. It flies through the clouds on an ocean of dreams. Dreams that once powered the hearts and minds of men, only to become forgotten as time drew them in. Now time is aggressive, it doesn't play fair, striking blows at your mind while you're left unaware. First fighting back, you make your small notes, then it changes your hair, so making some small joke. Now time blurs your vision, fear is setting in. But only when your dreams are no more will time begin to dance. Without your dreams, you're truly old, and time gives no second chance.
That helps.
I knew Kathy a long time, but I was the quiet one.
Yeah, we can share
She loved going to Reading, going, ah! 20 miles an hour. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for coming, but there's something we want to play because something special to Kathy was Scotland. And she went to Scotland. Where's Sue? Behind you. Oh, good. Her and Sue went to Scotland, so we have something special to play for her and you and Kathy, especially for Kathy. But thank you all for coming. We're going to have more music. We're going to have a party as late as we can stay. But let's play this for Kathy.
Oh, she's on it. Yeah.
So now we have more music, and if you have any plates you can't find, we probably wash them and they're in the kitchen. We've got belly dancing, we got fires, we got burn barrels. Have a great time. Share, take it away. Party on.